I'm Lauren Green for FoxNews.com. The Defense Department's decision to release 5 Yemeni terror suspects held at Guantanamo Bay is stirring controversy. And despite concerns from lawmakers about the risks of sending anybody back to Yemen, 4 were released to Oman, which is right next door. And joining us with reaction is London Center for Policy Research Senior Fellow Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer. Welcome, Tony.
Hey, Lauren. Thank you for having me. Good to be on.
Well, so the White House seems to be continuing its policy of releasing Gitmo detainees. But why now? Why in the wake of the Paris attacks?
Why now, indeed? I mean, this is akin to right at the time that you're trying to get the Japanese to surrender, releasing a bunch of their prisoners, their senior leaders, back to the country. Let's be very clear here. We know now, both from Al-Qaeda on the Arabian Peninsula's own admission, as well as the other evidence, that Al-Qaeda conducted the Paris attacks from Yemen. Yemen was used as a training ground. The command and control was executed from there. And now you're giving back, detainees who I do believe will go back to the battlefield and pick up where they left off. And this both is bad just from the military perspective as well as the psychological perspective. This, again, is playing right into the Al-Qaeda playbook that they're the strong horse, we're the weak horse, and this will actually give them a lot of propaganda oomph, a lot more ability to recruit, showing that, hey, the Americans are surrendering to us. It's totally insane.
There's no secret that President Obama wants to close Gitmo. And earlier this week, in the wake of the Paris attacks, several Republican senators introduced legislation to clamp down on his ability to transfer terror suspects out of the detention facility. Do you think this release probably has to do with that, just trying to get ahead of the game?
There's no doubt that they're on an expedited release schedule right now. That's what I'm hearing as well. They just want to get these guys out. Now, I'll tell you this. They are not making us any safer or our allies any safer. Again, this is playing right in the hands of our adversaries. There's been, Lauren, a complete detachment of the reality and facts on the ground that we're facing and the policy that President Obama and his staff puts forward. I mean, there's no relationship. It's completely broken. And so this is where I think Congress has to step up and actually take a much more direct and concerted effort to do the right thing. Again, I don't want to sound alarmist here, but geez, we have seen terrorist attacks in Paris. They eliminated one of 6 cells, and we've got to take this seriously. And again, this puts wind back in the sails of Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, we've got this situation in Belgium, which is what we're talking about now, and this is just breaking, so we can't really talk about it too much. But is this another situation where opening Gitmo like this, how bad a call is this by the White House? I mean, how bad is it?
What's bad? Part of what we're not doing is we're not capturing people and putting them somewhere. It doesn't necessarily be Guantanamo, but it has to be we go in, capture individuals who we know to be leaders, enablers, or members of the network. And Lauren, to defeat a terrorist network, you must understand its function so that you can cut it off permanently, stop it. It's like cauterizing blood vessels. If you don't cut it off, it'll continue to bleed and do other things. So we've got to get ahead of this. Because of the policies of this administration to not capture anybody, to not do interrogation, we have a complete deficit of understanding of how these networks reconstitute, how they grow, how they move out. So this is only adding to our inability to understand that. Again, it's very bad.
Let me show you a couple of polls that Fox News has done. The first one talks about if an ISIS terrorist is captured on the battlefield, where should they go? 59% of those polled in America says Guantanamo Bay. 59%. U.S. federal prison, 29%. Now, the other one, our second poll says, what should happen to Gitmo? 56% of the people still want it open. 32% want it closed. The numbers really haven't changed dramatically in the last couple of years. And our third poll is like, ISIS will try to launch an attack on U.S. soil soon. I mean, how likely? 81% of the people believe that it will happen soon, and that number has increased. As Europe goes, so goes America, and that's the fear. Is that what we're talking about here?
The fear is justified. Again, I don't want to be alarmist, but yes, we have seen networks reestablish themselves. And again, to be painfully clear, the Paris attack was conducted with command and control from Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Probably al-Zawahiri from Pakistan probably gave the word. It went through their chain of command. This was a deliberate attack. This was not a lone wolf incident. we have to be concerned about both, about lone wolves, which have already happened here, as well as network attacks. But it's just a matter of time before they're able to reestablish an effective network with command and control to execute these sorts of attacks here in the United States. All
right, sounds pretty grim right now. But Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, thank you so much for being on FoxNews.com. You want to keep it on FoxNews.com for this developing story. I'm Lauren Green, and thanks for watching.